Hello, guys. It's your boy GRC. Hold on, let me get my position right here. That's better. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm Goldie Cookie Cutter Tan right now. And that's because I've been spending lots of time outside. And it's been a good time. Guys, this is your boy GRC. This is Crypto in the Morning. Every single day we come at you live at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we bring you the latest, the greatest in DeFi. We make fun of shitcoins. We make fun of stuff that goes down. We call furus out constantly. People that talk too much on the internet, we love calling them out, okay? People, if you're not super involved in the Hex community and you say something, it is a mistake. I'm telling you, all my friends will relentlessly look at your profile until they find the most disgusting things about you that they could possibly pull up. So I would just stay out of it, to be honest. Like it only gives it more press to the people, but these guys are psychos, okay? They're crazy, and I'm turning into one of them, okay? And it's weird, but I'm enjoying myself, guys. We're comparing Ethereum 2.0 promise coin numero uno. Literally the definition of a promise coin. The idea of Ethereum in general was to be proof of stake, and they said, "No, we're not going to do that. We'll just do it later." 6 years later, guys, we're here 7 years later, and they're saying August, baby. But let's be honest. If this thing came out, if somebody said, Jim Rat, if this comes out by August next year, I'd say 0% chance. Like the way I'm going to pull up some Vitalik Buterin quotes, and he does not sound super. He basically just the whole time is like, no way. It's not going to happen. No way, no way. It's his mouth too. So we're pulling up, coming to the horse's mouth, guys. We're comparing ETH 2.0 to Pulsechain. Let me repeat that. We're comparing ETH 2.0 to Pulsechain. Neither of these things really exist yet. I mean, they both have test nets. And I guess Pulsechain the Ethereum 2.0 does exist, but it's not like the whole system state, which is what they're kind of trying to merge the whole thing. So basically what it is, Sam, it's like they have proof of work, and then you can also like move your stuff to like layer 2 of Ethereum and like do proof of stake, but they want it to just be one at the moment. And we're going to look at all this in more detail. Good morning, Bullish. We're going to look at all this in more detail. And I'm going to say hi to the chat real quick, guys. Footsteps was the first one in here. Everyone, make sure you're sharing this out, guys. It's Memorial Day. Do your boy a favor. Do your boy a flavor and hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Please share this out, guys. I want to tell you what's going on this week. We have Maddie All In coming in Wednesday. We have, guess who? Gunther, Wolverine, Red Panties, Pulse Doge, crazy alpha male, crazy son of a gun, coming on Thursday. We're bringing some chicks on. We're talking about Pulse Doge, I think. We'll see what the hell happens. But we're having Silver and Axis on. Silver, the antidote, Axis. He said, I need your questions before we go on because I want to make sure you guys mean business. And I said, absolutely. I'll send you my questions. Okay. So guys, huge week ahead. It's going to be fucking insane. Guys, Memorial Day. People aren't working today. So share this out. Maybe we'll get some new viewers. KS, Melv Tony, Hex Boy, Tor and Ridge, Mudhog, Symphony Wave. Good morning, guys. Biceps in the chat. Everyone, make sure you're sharing this out. Valiant Bull Rush. Morning, everyone. Had a great week 5 in those in the fitness challenge. Valiant Bull Rush, absolute front runner in the fitness challenge. Absolutely crushing it. Saw pictures of him out with his bro, having a good time. They went out to eat, I think. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You guys looked great. It was incredible, guys. I saw that video. I think it was on Instagram, on Brand's Instagram. And I was like, this is incredible. Good morning, Bullish. David James, what's good? Blue Collar Grunt, what's good? Handyman, how we doing? Jawa, funniest guy on the internet. I swear, the funniest guy on the internet, Jawa. Thank you, Melv Tony. We're at 77817. We had a dip. Sam was all over that dip. And Sam wants to look a little bit at the deck screener, buys and sells. I think we might do that a little bit in the beginning of the shows before we get started. Guys, I'm done with the chat for now. Crypto Stylist, what's up, Hex ladies and gentlemen? Great to see you. Crypto Stylist might be in my local area one of these weeks, she said. I think we might meet up, do a little Hex merch photo shoot. You never know what's in the works, guys. You never know. Guys, I will be back in 2 minutes and 6 seconds. If you guys could please share this out. We're going to have a banger. I'm locked in like a laser beam right now. Let's flip and get it.
Young folks, you dripping on them motherfucker. Bought my hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pulsechain's out, gonna get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this Pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this Pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Getting this back like a year ago.
What's up?
Hey, guys, look at this.
I just want to say hi to.
There's no way it's this thick. I've never. If that's true, I'm fucking sick to my stomach.
I'll have to do a measurement, I guess. I want to say
my
hi.
stomach. I want to quit the show.
I want to say hi to my girlfriend who's here. She's actually supporting wherever she's at in the country. So what's up, baby? How you doing? How is everybody else doing? She is watching. She is currently watching.
We've never officially met, but
she is watching. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I know you had a good afternoon yesterday. Your message me about, so that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I had a fantastic weekend. Also wrapping up the best month since I quit working at the bank about 3 years ago. So
nice.
Let's get a bicep in the chat for that.
That's big time.
Yes, that is big time. Crushed the record that I had set in March. I set a record at all-time best month in March, and I just beat that month. So that's badass. Also, this is Lost in Crypto. Badass intro. Best out there in YouTube.
Yeah, Lost in Crypto. I'd like to see you in here. Thank you. I don't think I've seen you in here before. I appreciate that. Monica Mofit Meals. I'm going to message you. I was going to message you tomorrow because it was the weekend. But I'm going to message you tomorrow because I know you guys have spending time with the family. Everyone's spending time with the families this weekend. Even I was. But I'm back to business today. Well, I've been doing business all weekend, but I'm back to business. I'm just giving myself another reason to stay here all day long. Guys, we are doing a couple things right now. Real quick, we want you to go to dexscreener.com and look at the buys and sells of the last 50 and kind of see what's going on. So we haven't moved much from yesterday, right? About the same as yesterday, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think we had a real low dip here. So this is actually this is Maxi, I think. Yes.
That's the Maxi on Hex.
Let's pull up actually Hex with USD and see how it comes up. I think we had a nice little dip this morning. I like that. Okay, look at this. It was down around 6 cents, 6.8 there, and then right here we had a bottom out around 6.6 cents. But this is not what we were actually talking about. If you're curious to know what's going on, also, I'll show you how to do this in Uniswap.
Buys today. I want to look at some of the big buys today rather than the big sells. So, like, if we go here, we see a $69,000 sell. That was buy. That was the second to last one. So we'll click on that. We're just giving people an idea of what we look at in the morning. You know, like And it's not like we're trying to dox anyone's wallets. You're just trying to get an idea of the movement, right?
But you will get exposed if this is your wallet. We'll call you out. Just
yeah, you're dead. You're ruined. Family's in danger. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding. No, we would never. I personally, part of my ethos is like, unless someone personally says something to me in a DM that I think is stupid, I will say I might expose that if it was unprovoked. But in general, I will never seek someone's stuff out just to expose who they personally are. I don't really, it's not super interesting to me. Like, I know a bunch of rich people in real life when all they do is sit and just like everyone else, you know, I want to know what they're doing with their cash. I'm not super concerned what they're doing with their free time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what they're doing. I want to know where they're moving their shit. Like, they have a brain and a computer. Hey, let me extrapolate that onto the Etherscan. I don't care if they're buying Lamborghinis. I don't care. Lamborghinis, you realize, are not that expensive. You know, comparatively, like what people are so stupid with the way that they think about supercars, right? It's like you could make $150 million for someone and then buy a supercar. That's like buying a freaking shovel if you're poor. You know what I mean, though?
No, correct. But
even proportional, and people don't understand. There's also reasons to buy expensive things, like real reasons, like tax implication reasons. I've heard people say this stuff my whole life. I knew people that had those. What kind of cars were those? Those V wagons. They were super expensive, like 200, 150 grand. But the guys always told me that there was some tax implication to it.
1079, I think it is.
And I never knew what they were talking about. But I said that's rich people shit in my head. I said that makes sense. Like there's some sort of game there.
With the it's a portion of the tax code, I believe it's called 1079, where if the vehicle weight is above $5,000,
wow,
you can actually write off the whole cost of the vehicle. So it's a $200,000 vehicle. You can take that whole shebang at once instead of depreciate it over like 7 years, which you'd have to do for a vehicle less than that. Tesla's Model X also qualifies for this too. So it's pretty interesting. Also, I want to show you something that I discovered this morning on Uniswap. So if you pull up the Uniswap
.hex.vision.
Yeah, and then you get to actually see, just like how we want to kind of take a look at what is going on with buys and sells, you can also take a look at what's going on in the pool to see who is actually pulling money out and who is adding money.
Now Sam, this is where I need your help a little bit. This is where I start to get not lost. Like, I understand conceptually, I can understand it, but I've never moved liquidity in and out. I'm sure it's just a button like everything else, you know, like I'm not confused about the way to do it. I'm just saying in general, like, I don't understand the movement yet. Like, I understand the buys and sells, the moves to USDC, the moves to ETH, the moves to Bitcoin. Like, that all makes perfect sense to me. But then when we start playing these liquidity games, then I get confused because I just haven't moved there yet in my mind, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. And so this is, I didn't even know that that we could see this. I was just playing around on Uniswap this morning. So this is just info.uniswap.org. So info.uniswap.org. And you put the search term HEX here, right? So this is going to pull up all pools of HEX. By the way, the liquidity for HEX is very low. Very low at this point.
And what does that mean to you, Sam? Someone who's, you know, newer to the scene. We all know about the tight liquidity in HEX, but like it's talked about as a feature as well as something that other people definitely don't think is a feature. But in general, like when RH talks about it, he talks about it generally as a feature.
So this
is Sam. It's like if you want to sell yourself down, have fun. Like if you want to sell all your funds and take slippage, but at the same time, if you have $5 million in the house and you take it out and put it into HEX, it's going to shoot the price up. From what Access Live tweeted this morning, I don't want to say I did these calculations because I certainly did not. He tweeted out this morning that a $5 million buy to HEX would roughly shoot us up to 19.8 cents.
So think about this, right? Because of tight liquidity, and then remind me to tie this into curve, but with tight liquidity, right? So you see 10 million in the pool right here, TLV, total locked value. This is in the pool between HEX and USDC. That's the largest pool. 5 million here. So what does that mean? If somebody goes in there and tries to purchase, because of the way the AMM formula works, automated market maker formula, it's X times Y equals K, the constant. So it's these two in terms of total HEX in the pool, total USDC in the pool, multiplied times each other equals K, which is the constant. And because that pool is smaller, if a large player comes in there, they're actually driving the price up. If a large player comes in there to sell, they're driving the price down. So it disincentivizes.
Isn't it technically more probable that someone else would come in and buy and get a position rather than for someone who already has a position to sell? Like, I'm sure if there was some probability there.
Well, let me ask you a question. And obviously you don't know for sure because you're not in this position. So say you've got plenty of funds and a $6 or $7 or $8 million investment is trivial to you. You do those regularly, right? Do you want to get in on something where if you decide to put in $6 million, and which you do like on a regular basis into different assets and investments, you move the price by more than a double against yourself? Is that something that seems appealing to you?
No, but if you understand the system, no. Sir, answer to that question is no. Period. The way that you just asked it. That industry, right? You know what I mean.
Correct. It's the same thing. That.
Money in, money out, right? Like, so that's a great point. But for those, RH doesn't necessarily want this thing to grow from top to bottom. He wants it to grow from bottom to top, or normal people.
And that is what incentivizes.
Normal.
Because if you put in $5,000 and I put in $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 or maybe get thrown $100,000, there's barely any slippage.
None.
For slippage, just if you're not sure what that means, it's just like if you try to actually Bullish, can you pull up a chart that shows?
I don't think he's there at the moment. But Sam, answer me this: the liquidity. So we'll talk about the liquidity. Like, couldn't they provide more liquidity to make there less slippage or whatever?
Yes, but not everybody knows that. Even people who have a lot of big bags, they don't know.
So why don't they do that though?
If they're aware of it, that's exactly how I would.
But it seems like some of them would definitely be aware of it.
Correct. Some of them are.
What would maybe a reason that they wouldn't?
They're new. There's lots of people who don't.
Only 800 days old. It's only 900 days old, so I guess that's fair.
There's people who own Hex that are not in TikTok or Twitter. There's people.
Oh my God! There's so many people that own Hex that are not on Twitter.
And there's people who own Hex that also don't watch YouTube videos.
Yes.
Right. So there's a lot of people who own Hex but don't know anything about other than just, hey, this is a cool thing that somebody told me about that says it's programmed. So there's nobody behind it. This info is helpful. Sweet. Awesome. Appreciate that. This is helpful to them, but they don't know how the system works. They don't know this kind of stuff. I mean, this stuff, we're looking at this stuff every single day, and we don't understand a lot of shit. Like, we're actively trying to learn, and you and I are like, this is our job to do this.
Yeah, we just made it. We just made it our job. Like, I didn't ask anyone if this should be my job. I just made it my job.
Yes. Okay. So,
I love that. I love that we could do that.
Right, and other people don't have that. Like, they got a family, they tell themselves that they need to do.
They were like, I should give my money to someone to be.
So check this out. So if you come over here, right, you search for Hex on info.uniswap, you scroll down here. These are all the different pools available, right? You get to see.
This is amazing, by the way.
You come down here. So this is all pools. Now, if you go to ads, so this tells us.
Slow down just a hair.
Yep. Okay. So
for me.
Yep. So we scroll to the very bottom. And in this, this is representing all these. Mm-hmm. It tells us, let's go to ads. That tells us that there was 2.3 K added to Hex and USDC, and Hex and USDC. So it always shows up as 2, mm-hmm. right? 8.26, 8.26, mm-hmm. 46, right? So you get to see people adding money to the liquidity pool. We should take a look at these addresses.
It's so interesting.
Now look at these. If we see large bags pulling out, right? So this person here, this is, now you go to remove. So this is people pulling money from liquidity. This is reducing liquidity, right? Or somebody, we just talked about somebody who knows what they're doing and uses liquidity to their advantage to enter and exit positions, to not have any slippage, to earn fees while they actually transition their position. If that $6 million, put it into a liquidity pool, and then they use the liquidity pool as a way to transition, then they don't have to pay any slippage. They also earn fees the entire time while they do that. So that's a much more intelligent way of doing this and thoughtful way of doing this. So when you see a big bag dumping, let's see if we can find one.
Bam, read this real quick. Hey, GRC, I wanted to say thank you as of via reading one of your tweets. Random ass tweet that I never tweet about anything but crypto, but like 3 times. One time about Serum Asylum because I wanted Sam to look it up. And I discovered Leo on longevity. and Cerebral Asylum, which I subsequently ordered. Exciting times. Make sure, hey, I am not a doctor by any means, but please do all your research and store in a properly temperature. The temperature is very important. You're probably pretty anal if you're ordering Cerebral Asylum. So,
if you after you do your experiment, well, I got to ask you UFT, but after you do experiment, if you want to come on for like a 10 or 15-minute segment and talk about your experience, I would be open to listen to that. If you don't want to do it on here,
and this could be all part of our future stuff. Like I'm doing this research on this specific thing, right? Like it's very specific. But Sam knows all the other shit.
And or if you want to come on Thursday night, or anybody else who is listening currently, I have a show Thursday night.
I need to get on that show and I need to talk. I need to speak to whoever the hell I have. IFBB. Is that Thursday this week?
6:30. Yep.
I'm on. Am I allowed on?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go. We're gonna do this. We're gonna pump that too a little bit. I'm gonna pump that. We're doing a fitness stream. It's gonna be awesome for all you weirdos in the chat that like all that weird shit we talk about. Just go there. We don't have to explain it. You know what we're talking about. If you like weird stuff, muscles, veins, hairless legs. Come over.
Dude, I just found yesterday. I did a little video on this. Tesofensine is a drug it's a peptide that's being developed in Denmark to basically a reuptake of serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline. So what the trifecta of basically not allowing your body to absorb those and get rid of them, you increase serotonin, you increase dopamine, and you increase noradrenaline. That actually decreases your appetite, and also has been shown to increase your metabolic rate. So think about this. If you need 2,000 calories to maintain exactly where you are, and according to this study, it was 24 weeks in 200 humans, it increased the metabolic rate by 6%. So 6% times 2,000, right? Whatever that comes out to be, times 200. So half of that is 100. So that means your metabolic rate went from 2,000 to about 2,100 calories a day. So it also increased fat oxidation and decreased muscle or protein oxidation. Just amazing stuff around it. Super cool.
Cut it. We're cutting it.
Yes, bro.
We're not giving them any more of that juicy juice. They have to go there to get the juicy juice.
Thursday, 6:30 p.m. EST.
Sam, I need you to you gotta start dangling that carrot a little bit. You gotta say, this is where the alpha at. Check it.
Yes.
Truthfully, we could legitimately change your life forever. If you watch that Thursday podcast, just the same way these other people's podcasts changed my life forever. We now have all that information and we have a platform. So we can now start, as far as this will also reinvigorate my mental. When I think too much about one subject, it gets boring, even if it's really cool. Like, even if I'm enjoying it, it's like, it's not so now, like, if I could bring my Cerebral Asylum notes to like other people, oh my God, that would make me so happy.
Yes.
It's not even bodybuilding, but like, we should do a peptide show and then a bodybuilding show. Whatever. Dude, we have so many stuff coming up. Me and Sam are totally dedicated to doing this all the time. We don't care. People say, you get a job, do this, do that. I'm going to just do exactly what the fuck I want. This is my shit. I love it. We got to help people where we can. I did all this work already for other people. That is where the value comes from. Same with Sam. Sam, I need you to drop this. I want you to cover this in depth, though.
Okay, so this person removed. I'll pull this up in a separate video.
We do have a title, and it's starting to become.
Yes, yep, you're good. Where's pull that other thing up? We pull this one. I'll take a look at this later. I want to check.
This is exactly what I want to be talking about. Like that is where I want to start moving. Like when we're doing our morning shows, like I think we should cover the buys and sells and that. And I need to get a better idea of exactly what's going on there because I can't be slipping through the cracks on any of this stuff, guys. Most people don't. It's like, yeah, I know what all of it is, but how's it all moving? Why are people moving their money in a certain way? Who are the people that are doing it? You can really learn a lot quickly, very quickly. It's not difficult. Right now, I'm going to pull up a video, okay? And it's a video of Richard Hart talking about Ethereum 2.0 and Pulsechain. I can't remember the date on this, but whatever. It wasn't that long ago.
Give us context. Why are we pulling up this video? Do we want to understand Pulse, like what Pulse is representing versus, say, ETH 1.0 or ETH 2.0 and see some of those differences? Is that what this video is going to get into?
Well, not this one in particular. This one is just more of like a broad, like what Richard thinks. And then we're going to go into the Vitalik Buterin nuts and bolts video. So it's like we're going to go from overall scope, and then I'm going to start showing you, and then we're going to end up exactly like what is Ethereum 2.0, like what's occurring, right? Like, because I think it's so important, Sam, because you could say Ethereum 2.0 all you want, but if you don't actually know what's happening, you can be completely misleaded, guys, when they say deflationary asset. So what happens when ETH, okay, let's talk through this for a second, Sam, for you. What is ETH trying to do, right? In your words, or whatever you know.
There's several different pieces of it, from my understanding, rudimentary, like very elementary. They're trying to, so the overarching piece of it is switch everything from proof of work, like Bitcoin, where you have miners processing transactions, to proof of stake. And as they transition from proof of work and getting rid of the mining, right, getting rid of the miners that just go through and earn ETH, they get paid to do the transactions, and then they use some of that ETH to sell the price down so that they can pay their electric bill. Right? Instead of doing it that way, moving to proof of stake, right? Moving to a proof of stake network where you have, I think they're going to have validators, and in that process, I think they're also doing some other.
Well, they already have all this, Sam. So remember, they already have.
But they're only part of the network.
But it's separate. But they're still separate. They want to like, so they went from ETH 1.0. Then they built ETH 2.0, and now they want to integrate 2.0 into being 1.0, if that makes sense. So they want to make 1.0 not what is occurring anymore. They want to take what they already have, because you can stake all your. What is this doing? It's making Ether become a yield-bearing asset, Sam. That is the nut and bolt of it, right? That's what they're doing. They're changing it from proof of work to proof of stake. It's becoming a yield-bearing asset, right? That's pretty crazy, right? But they already have that to a degree, but it's not like the full system state as far as I'm concerned. But let me see. What is this other video? So I'm going to play this one real quick. This just is overall. This is nothing serious. This is just, classic RH.
This is good, though, because people talk about 2.0 and they don't have any effing idea what 2.0 is. And I'm guilty of this too. Like, I don't have a great understanding because there's several other small changes that are going to be taking place that are important, or could be very important and impactful with Ethereum 2.0, whether that happens in 3-4 months or it happens in the next 3 or 4 years. So let's get into this video.
This is a How to Pulse video. So I'm going to play it from the beginning because they play their little ad and they deserve it.
In all caps, Mr. M. Kiran says, what happens when Ether launches cheap transactions in June 2022 with proof of work? I don't know what you're talking about. I assume you mean Ethereum 2.0, and I assume you mean proof of stake instead of proof of work. Yeah, we've got better features than Ethereum 2 has. Their staking's misdesigned so that you have to have 34 Ethereum minimum, which is currently like $120,000. Well, let's do that math real quick. 3,200 times 34, $109,000. And so it causes massive centralization because no one wants to put in $109,000 to buy themselves a networking admin server admin job and lose their money if they have any downtime. Nobody likes that. So instead what they do is give their keys to somebody else, and then those people steal the money, run off with the money, lose the money. And it's a giant centralizing force in what is supposed to be a decentralized network. Oops. There's already been $100 million lost to that. What else? New software tends to have bugs. So that if you do a whole entirely new code base, you're more likely to have bugs than if you just change some parts of the code base, which is what we've done. Furthermore, Ethereum 2.0 doesn't give you any new free coins at all. But Pulsechain.com gives you the maximum number of free coins ever in the history of mankind. There's never been a larger airdrop of free coins ever in the history of man. Absolutely everybody is going to get tons of free coins. Furthermore, they often never launch the software that they say they're going to launch. For instance, sharding is late by 5 or 6 years, something like that. And the fees don't necessarily have to be cheap. They could also still just be expensive on ETH 2.0. So, but
I didn't think that the fees were actually going to be coming down on 2.0 personally. I thought speed might increase, or
well, I think there's like some deflationary aspect to it, but if you really look at the numbers, it's not there. Like if you really look at the again, the 32 Ethereum validator point is the biggest point in my opinion. Like, I don't understand 100%. I want to look into that more, and I think Vitalik will get into that a little bit more. The validator thing still confuses me, right? Like, you need.
Is it the same thing happening on Pulse though? Because there's only going to be 32 of them, so you're going to have people who have boatloads of fucking Pulse who are going to be validated.
But yeah, if someone could clarify a little bit, but we'll probably get clarity as we go. I sent in the private chat the audio cutting out. Is it really? Yeah. Whenever I play RH videos, the quality's too good and it bugs out. So Bully, if you want to pull up the second video, you can if you want. It's on there already. I sent the link.
Jawa, I dodged the biggest bullet ever. I had 32 ETH. I almost went through with it. Thank freaking God I found X. Cool, dude. That's awesome.
Yep, Jawa is the absolute man. Are you Oh, my bad. I gotta resend it. Give me 1 second, guys. No worries.
You're good. I like black on RH. Nope. Yeah, sure looked good. Afternoon, Spenny. How you doing? What's good? What happens on January 29th? I don't know, but hopefully something cool happens on January 29th.
I think 2:16 start time on that. 2:16 start time on that, Bullish. I think that's what I wrote on my.
So give us a preview. Give us some context.
So this is basically Vitalik's latest update.
And when is this video from?
Just a few days ago, maybe 6 days ago, 7. Again, but somebody else made this video, so it's like clipped out a little bit. Like, it kind of shows a little progression, but it's Vitalik talking most of the time. So, and it goes through like some charts. Like, it shows you some like what flow charts, or that what they called? What do you like move boxes?
Yeah,
I love flow charts, by the way.
I was reading on Ethereum, and I want to read that comment there, where there was quotes from what's his face, the guy, like the skinny guy behind Ethereum again. What's his name?
Vitalik Buterin.
Vitalik. He had mentioned that he didn't want to be the center. He didn't want to be the leader for Ethereum. He wanted to be decentralized. And think about what happens if you have a company that doesn't have a leader. Because effectively, it's a company. If you still have ongoing shit that needs to get done and nobody's leading that, then everybody's going to have their own opinion about how it needs to be done. And then what happens? Delays. Nothing happens. That's exactly what's happened. Because there's been nobody to step up and be like, hey, I'm the leader of this thing. This is the direction we're going, right? You like it, you don't like it, too bad. This is the direction we're going. You can get behind this, or you can not get behind this. James says, thank you for the comment, by the way, James. One wallet has
forgot to mention.
one wallet has 32 ETH to be validated on ETH. Not your keys, not your crypto. Pulse is delegated stake, so you still have your keys. I don't fully understand that, James. I appreciate the comment.
Please. We'll thank you for that comment and the verbiage. I just think there's some verbiage in there that I need to. So 1 second on that. I am going to pull up one thing just to protect everyone. I was someone who was almost stolen from the crypto community by the Cell community. I almost converted fully. At some point, I was researching and I was new and I had nowhere to go. And some people were telling me Cell. I think, dollar cost crypto. There's a couple guys that kept mentioning Cell, and I just kept looking into it a little bit to the point where I was like, and my Cell bag was at like the top. It was crushing. I was like, this is crazy. This is cool. I should look into this more. And I stopped looking into that when I found RH and he started spitting facts. But look what he tweeted today.
Do you want to give context what Cell is real quick? Because
Cell is a lending protocol that people in the United States like to use because most lending protocols don't really work in the United States for whatever reason. They're not allowed. So here is Celsius. You can basically buy your Celsius, stake it on there. You can stake all your other coins on their site, but it's basically like all their shit.
Yeah.
Everything on that site is 100% theirs. They can shut it down at any moment. And let me show you exactly what that looks like in real time, guys. It's scary. This is scarier than people realize. The verbiage that they use is misleading. It misinterprets what's actually occurring. This is theft. This is true misleading theft, centralized theft. Oh, sorry.
This is what that James had just mentioned. He mentioned right in the middle of his comment, not your keys, not your crypto. Go ahead and pull up this thing that you're about to show, because
so if you look right here, guys, you could see there's this thing.
Click on the tweet to see.
Richard said, "Not your keys, not your coins. Celsius is a bad joke. Mashinsky is a bad founder, and Hex.com lets you keep your own keys as you should. Remember, guys, Mashinsky's one of the guys that's all over the internet, and Richard does not speak about people specifically being horrible founders unless he really believes that. I know Richard well enough where he would not assassinate someone's character unless it really meant it. So look at his picture. HODL mode is active. To any noob, that would make you feel just warm and fuzzy inside for whatever reason. I know it. But the truth is, this is theft. Your account was set to HODL mode by our team. HODL mode prevents all outgoing transfers. This includes sending coins, sending funds via CellPay, and changing whitelisted addresses. If you would like to deactivate HODL mode, please contact the support team. Make sure you contact that crypto support team. We know how fast crypto support is.
Do you remember? Do you remember when the AMD, right? So you had that bowling alley company that went through, and you're muted. That bowling alley went through, and the price, because of Reddit, right, was skyrocketing, and the hedge funds who shorted the company were getting effed, right? Those hedge funds were getting screwed. Wall Street was getting screwed because people like you, people like me, teamed up together against Wall Street, and they were flipping the cart on Wall Street. What did Robinhood do? Robinhood, the centralized brokerage platform, as soon as this started happening, you know what they did? Said, bitch, you can't trade your shit. Exactly what Celsius is doing. Exactly what Celsius is doing. They wouldn't let you buy. They wouldn't let you sell. They wouldn't let you do anything. This is the same thing that shows you that Celsius is actually not crypto whatsoever.
Hey, dude, HODL mode was active for 24 hours, Sam. A whole day. Imagine if you had your life savings on sale. Dude, that's really bad. Like people think this is man-beat, like, oh, another crypto, another rug pull. This was marketed as a safe DeFi lending protocol, and it still is to this day. This dude's all over the internet telling people he's doing the right thing on the biggest shows in the world. Richard went on a show with him. We'll show this some other time. And he told this dude basically in the nicest way possible that his shit sucked in front of him. And everyone just laughed Richard off, right? They just said Richard's being Richard, you know, and Richard was saying the same thing about the stablecoin algorithms.
The people who are buying this don't understand
none of it.
They don't, and they'll watch the YouTube people who are putting out bad information on this, probably selling on top of them.
Yes,
which we should highlight what that means.
They're not even selling on top of them; they're stealing their shit, basically, because they can't get their money out. They're not in HODL mode. You think Alex Mashinsky's stuck in HODL mode? No.
Exactly. But this is the point, guys. This is exactly the point. The same thing happened with Robinhood.
Yeah.
Brokerage firms in Wall Street, they were still allowed to do stuff. You, because you're a little B, are not allowed to do anything because your balls are not big enough in terms of your back. That's why. The same thing is happening. If you don't like that crap, then get out of all those centralized things. Because this is where the world's going. We already know this is where the world's going. People don't like that favoritism. People don't like that.
Hey, Bitfinesse with the $50 super chat. Sell that shit, boy. Bitfinesse, I'm so happy you're in here. And I'm so happy you're a part of this community. He's one of those guys that never says a negative word to anyone. He comments on every one of my channels. I mean, my episodes, the nicest long comment about the whole show. Like, he watches the whole thing. He's on the road. He's killing it. Thank you, Bitfinesse. You are a true Hexagon alpha male leader. And we're going to go into this video now, Bullish. Rug mode activated by everyone but RH, guys. Literally, Daquan's rugging you. Mashinsky's rugging you. Vitalik's kind of been rugging you for 6 years. And Vitalik literally wrote the white paper for proof of stake probably and was like, hold on, let's hold on 7 years on this real quick. And then we'll jump back to it. So his original idea, the reason Vitalik Buterin started Ethereum or whatever, like they mentioned in this video that proof of stake was their original thought. So let's play it. Let's play it at 2:15 and we'll play it. Just stop, Sam, just say stop whenever you want because I watched this video twice, I think.
With then the likely plan is for the merge to happen in the summer. So I know Justin a few days ago suggested that August is a possible date for the merge to happen. If there are no problems, then the merge will happen in August. But of course, there's always a risk of problems. There's also a risk of delays. And so September is possible and October is maybe possible as well. But the merge is at this point looking like it's very close to happening. So Ethereum will finally become a proof of stake network. Now, what is going to happen after the merge? So about 5 months ago, I published this diagram. This is an updated roadmap for the Ethereum protocol. So these are things that have already happened in Ethereum development. So the beacon chain, the proof of stake beacon chain has existed for almost 1.5 years now. There have been some hard forks on the beacon chain already. It's already possible to have light clients on the proof of stake chain. EAP 1559 has happened now. But there's also all of these things that are still left to happen in the next few years. So it's broken up into 5 sections. So the merge is the switch to proof of stake. The surge is the sharding, so increasing scalability, making it possible for rollups to process a very large number of transactions. So we have EIP 4844, dank sharding, data availability sampling, a lot of different ideas. The verge is the switch to Virtual trees, which should make it easier to have to run an Ethereum node with, even if you don't have a powerful computer that has a lot of hard drive space. It should make it much easier to be a validator and should make it easier for the protocol to become more decentralized, should make it easier for more people to validate the Ethereum chain. So a lot of good things in the merge. The purge is more like improvements to the efficiency of Ethereum by removing the need to store history, right? So like, for example, Ethereum clients would no longer need to store the entire history of the Ethereum network. They might only need to store 1 year of history. State expiry, so accounts and smart contracts that people have not interacted with for a very long time, they would be put into a different part of storage, and you would need to, like Ethereum nodes would not have to store that state anymore. Some parts of the Ethereum protocol that are too complicated and that make it more difficult to create an Ethereum node can be removed.
Protocol. So we can stop it right there for a sec. He's getting into the weeds a little bit, but it all just sounds like shit that he's not ready to start talking. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything's this is kind of here.
Sorry, go ahead. He's got 5 parts: the merge, the surge, the purge, the flip flop, the dog poodle. Like he's got 5 different pieces of this, and we only have step 1 that has like. Well, it's kind of slightly probably possible by August, but it could be September, and there's also a possibility it could be in October. Like, what kind of wish-washy answer is that? Like, the shit is definitely not happening in August by an answer like that. He's like, if there's no problems, it's possible that it could happen in August. If there's no problems, bro, this thing was supposed to come out 4 years ago. 4 years ago. And so I don't see this happening. What if each one of these takes 3 or 4 years to publish? Like the merge, the purge, all that other stuff that he's talking about. The data thing, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool because think about Hex, right? if you're running a node, what do we know about nodes? Nodes are effectively kind of like storing snapshots of the blockchain, from my understanding of it. And when information needs to get access, it has to be stored on the node. So you have to have a certain size computer that is capable of holding all this information. By what he was just mentioning in this last like 20, 30 seconds, that removing the history for, say, smart contracts like Hex from storage, it would basically reduce the size. So say for like Hex, why would you remove that? Because if you purchase a Hex, if you buy Hex and you stake it, then you don't need to touch that contract. You don't need to do anything with that contract until it's ready to be end stake it, right? So there's no sense in really keeping that on the network if it's just going to sit there for 3 or 4 years, kind of thing. And that's what he was talking about. That could be very interesting because that could open up the door for more people to actually operate nodes. I thought that was kind of interesting. What did you think about his like, hey, we got these 5 parts, each one of these is
I just stopped listening. Like, it's just like, how much can we really pay attention to when it comes to software when it's just some guy talking and it's been 6 years, and it's like, it's so hard to even like, I need to, in crypto, they're like, wait till you can play with it. And yes, you can play with Ethereum 2.0 staking stuff now, but still, it's kind of just confusing to me. I need to know more about all this stuff. But this is kind of like we're starting, right? Like we're starting. I don't really feel like I should have to start learning about Ethereum 2.0 6 years after they mention it. Like I'm like, oh, okay, there's some, I'm just getting new to the game. And to me, this sounds stupid. It sounds dumb. Doesn't sound legit. If I was just talking to someone else about another project, I'd say come at me a little bit later, I guess, because you've been trying to work on this for 6 years. What are you and Cardano going to have a friggin' mini cock contest and see like who's going to be the longest before anything happens? Like, it's just in crypto, it's ridiculous. And that's why do we get behind RH so hard? Like, it doesn't matter what people say about Pulsechain, whether it's a year, 12 months, he's updating us every day. We're playing with the test net. He's sending us the updated, transaction amounts, all that stuff. So how can I not trust this guy more than the others? Like it just makes more sense to me because there is a level of trust in crypto too. Isn't there, Sam? Like when we're talking about centralized ownership, like it's just, there's a level of trust with Tesla and Elon. Like
correct.
You're hoping he doesn't dump all his bag because it would dump the price to zero. Like, like it's the same.
But the same belief that you have around RH is what like is happening with Elon, right? People understand that he's just trying to impact the world in a greater way. I don't have the same context and experience that you have on that, so you don't.
Yeah, so people think RH is crazy because they look at his stuff and it is crazy, but like it's just stickier to the average person than like finding him the way that I found him, right? Like reading his book and looking at all his live streams for 8 hours and intimately watching him and interacting with him on Twitter. You learn stuff about people over time. Like it doesn't matter who they are. He tweets every day. That means he's at his computer like every other motherfucker every day. He's not a fucking superhero. He's just another guy, and he just happens to have more experience and more brain power in this field. And he's putting it. He's doing it with his face out there the hardest, and I know how hard that is. It's so hard to put yourself in front of something and say, I'm going to do this. And just like put your whole friggin' image behind it. It's crazy. Vitalik doesn't put his image behind shit. Who is that guy? He let me in look like a human. Literally, like if I was talking to that guy, I'd be like, we just aren't going to relate. And I don't know who you are or what you're talking about. Like, like I'm not going to shoot the shit and drink a beer with Vitalik. I'm going to be like, what's going on here?
He's a very skinny fellow. I don't think he likes the public that much. There's 2 pieces that I really highlight between ETH 2.0 or Ethereum just in general and Pulse. The first being that it's like having a giant ship where they're trying to replace the motor while the ship is moving, or an airplane, you're trying to replace the door and the windows while the airplane is flying. To improve something or drastically change something that is already taking place in the marketplace is really challenging to do. It is a very, very hard problem. right? And so when you look at Pulse, you're able to do all these things and test these things and do all these things and continue to test them in the background. And the iterative speed at which you're able to do those is way faster, substantially faster. Because when something is moving, you can be like, okay, let's take out all the windows and then put all the new windows in. You could do that. You'd be like, okay, hey, the hell ship is moving. We need to do one window at a time. So let's take one out as quickly as possible and then put a new one in. Okay, now we got to do the next one. You can't be as efficient with things. So that's the first point there. And the other one is that when I read, there was a book on Ethereum that I read fairly recently, and the brief history of it, right? And had interviews with Gavin and Vitalik and several other people who were on that founding team. And what we just mentioned earlier, that he doesn't want to be like the face. He wants it to be decentralized. He doesn't want to be the leader of it, so to speak. But contrast that with Pulse. Like when you have something that is effectively a company, you need a leader. You need somebody to drive the ship.
Exactly. I thought you were going to get to that. I was about to say the same thing. Like I was like, it sucks for him because he's going to have to do that, whether he likes it or not. He's the guy. Everyone knows him. Look at his follower count. Every tweet he has is 1 million interactions. It's not. He's the guy.
But the project needs that. The project absolutely needs that. I think we just lost GRC for a second. But the project needs a leader. The project needs somebody who's actually vested in it, who is going to forwards in the best interest of the entire network, because he's got a boatload of Ethereum. So just man up. And remember, he's a child too. Like, not in a derogatory way, but he's a kid. He's younger than you are, I think. He's like a very young man, right? He's being held hostage.
I hear that too. I don't understand.
I don't understand that either.
RG, I'm sending you a link. If you're available, you're going to come in here and talk to us because you're a freedom fighter and you have to.
It's how the rules work, bro.
It's how the rules work, bro. You don't get it. Like, God makes the rules, not me. Sorry. I tell girls, I say, God gave me the feelings I have. That's all I can do. Okay.
I'm gonna share my Twitter down below. You guys should check out on Twitter and say what's good. Come over there and say hi.
He's younger than me. That's probably a good point too. And we're like, how old's Vitalik? Like probably 30.
I don't know. Yeah, I thought he was 19 when he created it.
He's probably like 14. Yeah, he's my age. Literally, we were born like he's 4 days older than me.
He is?
Yeah.
Did you just look it up?
Yeah, I just looked it up. He's 4 days older. Well, actually, he's 7 days older than me.
That's dope. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Well, basically, he's super, super, super young. Imagine running an enterprise that is.
Yeah, I can't imagine being
half a trillion.
I don't think any of us can mention. I don't think he functions like the rest of us, to be quite clear. And people can say what they want, but someone with the social life that he probably experienced in his first 24 years or so, 23 years, and someone with the amount of detail orientation towards coding, I can imagine his life experience and mine are very polar opposite. But thank God for guys like that. They make my life certainly much easier. Thank you, Vitalik Buterin, for everything you've done for the ecosystem of cryptocurrency. You changed the game forever. You have the biggest technological innovation probably in the last decade, and that's incredible. So
the whole reason we're here is basically because
without him, we would just be talking about freaking Bitcoin Cash. Which is not. I'm going to pull up another video that we can harp on for a minute by a developer in the Ethereum network.
Please, let's listen.
But this guy's really
popular. Give us context about what this video is going to cover.
It's kind of similar, right? He's an Ethereum guy, and he's kind of going through some of the stuff in a different way that Vitalik does. He's very more presentable. He's very more talkative. So he's kind of going over in like the layman's terms, similar things that we've been talking about, but he's going to reiterate some new points, different points. I need to get into this a little more because I just think it's important. I think it's important for people to understand the reality. Me too, Sam. Like this is for me. Like I want to hear these guys talk over and over again. These are guys that are on the ETH team. Okay. It's not like I'm talking to plebs that are like talking about ETH. These are the guys, and they don't sound so confident about the time frame. I'm not saying they don't sound confident about the tech, like whatever. They already have the tech. They already have the people. They already have the money. Now, but integrating a full system, I mean, what the hell?
They don't. So there's a Ethereum Foundation. I don't know if this dude works for it, but how the Ethereum Foundation works, from my understanding, is they have a collective bag that kind of works as like the treasury, like a DAO kind of would. And people like him, if he's working on something cool, they might give him like kind of like a donation or a grant, so to speak, to give him money so that he doesn't have to think about bills, he doesn't have to think about getting a job or that kind of thing. But there's also a small group of people who actually work for the foundation. But a lot of people are just doing work on it for free because they find it interesting, right? So let's pull this guy up and see what he has to say.
I'd be selling steroids on the street corner if it weren't for Vitalik Buterin. So thank you, Vitalik. That was my game plan before I found crypto, I swear. Anyway, here we go.
Coins. Well, that's what I'm going to answer in this video. I'm going to events in the entire crypto space for 2022. This is when Ethereum switches to the long-awaited proof of stake, to where ETH becomes a yield-bearing asset and also likely deflationary. Some experts in this space, like Arthur Hayes, think this is a huge catalyst for ETH that could push the price north of $10,000 per coin inside of 2022, even despite the recent bearish price action that we've seen lately. But when exactly is this going to get here? What can you expect after the network upgrade? Is this going to fix ETH's gas fees? Is ETH going to become deflationary? You're going to get free coins? Well, that's what I'm going to answer in this video. I'm going to talk about all this as a blockchain developer who works with the Ethereum protocol on a daily basis. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to know how to master blockchain step-by-step from start to finish, then head on over to adaptuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so let's get into everything that you need to know about the ETH 2.0 merge coming up. So just a quick recap, like what is the merge?
I don't know when this video is from.
First of all, ETH 2.0 is the final vision for Ethereum 2.0 ever since it started. So if you're using Ethereum 1.0 today, you're kind of using a prototype of Ethereum. That's when people complain about the gas fees, all this type of stuff, right? So if you've been trading tokens, you've been holding, ETH, you've been, doing transactions on OpenSea, holding NFTs, then you're using Ethereum 1.0 today. But Ethereum 2.0 is getting built right now. It's live. You can actually send Ether to it to stake it. It's got proof of stake turned on. But later, we're going to merge Ethereum 2.0 back into Ethereum 1.0, and the entire blockchain is just going to be one, where ETH becomes a staking asset. It's going to be yield bearing. It's likely going to be deflationary. We're going to detail all that in this video, but it's a huge catalyst coming up. So when's it going to arrive? Well, lots of people have been talking about the merge happening in Q2 of 2022. So that'll be by June of this year. And last month, I made a video talking about, hey, I didn't think that was going to happen at all. I try to be very realistic about this. That I think it'd likely be the next quarter. And within a few weeks after posting that video, we've seen lots of other news outlets take the same approach based on some conversations we've seen by core developers on Twitter. So the Ethereum takes, we're seeing this in like Time magazine, like citing this tweet from Tim Bako here, who's a part of the Ethereum core team, saying it's not going to be in June, but likely will be the few months after. No firm date yet, but we're definitely in the final chapter of proof of work on Ethereum, or the final chapter before we merge for Ethereum 2.0. So what Tim's here is validating exactly what I said in my last video about this. And it looks like his timeline for, a couple months after, probably in Q3 of 2022, is a lot like the prediction that I made in that last video. So a couple perspectives on this. What I'm going to say is basically, let's just keep our expectations inside of 2022, just so there's some wiggle room on this, because it's definitely going to be well worth the wait, even if it doesn't ship exactly when you think it's going to. And also the other perspective is, a lot of people talk about this as being a delay, all right? And really this is a delay in expectations, but at the same time, like nobody ever officially advertised a Q2 merge date. That kind of just evolved throughout the community. So if nobody's advertising a Q2 merge date, there's no real delay here in the first place. All right, so this is definitely going to be well worth the wait, like I was just saying, for a few reasons, because there's a lot to look forward to. Number one, ETH is likely going to be a deflationary asset. Okay, we're going to have staking rewards on ETH, which makes it a yield-bearing asset with some pretty high APRs. And also, it's going to be a huge vote of confidence for the entire Ethereum ecosystem, because ETH will actually set out to accomplish what it said it was going to. And so now let's talk about how the merge could be really bullish for the Ethereum price, okay? Because analysts like Arthur Hayes are talking about, the merge being a huge catalyst that could very well send ETH trading north of $10,000 per coin inside of 2022, regardless of the bear.
Pause that for a second. When was that filmed? Curious.
Hold on one second. Let's just clear some things up real quick. Teach us.
What's
Biceps.
Teach us. Awesome, school us, RG. School us. Teach us. Come on.
So
man.
I'm not gonna school. You can hear me, right? Let's
yes,
get this
sir.
thing rolling. Really, it's just kind of one of my theories, but it's kind of obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying about Vitalik being held hostage is that so they have a mining consortium that handles Ethereum, right? And he built Ethereum, like you guys said, amazing, brilliant job on coming up with. Well, he didn't come up with Solidity, but he came up with, founded Ethereum, and it changed crypto forever and made Hex possible. But because of this mining consortium, it's my thoughts that these guys are making money hand over fist. And there's a lot of money invested in all of these GPUs that they have. And gathering as much money as they can before they have to switch over is probably the case. And holding him accountable to that is probably what the miners could be doing. You know what I'm saying? So holding him hostage.
What's the leverage system there?
Yeah.
Like,
how does that the miners, how are they having leverage?
Well, he doesn't own them.
Right.
He doesn't own them, but they run the network. And so for them to change, they could do nefarious acts or things that could, gum things up and make a launch very difficult for them, even worse, So he may be being, told, hey, buddy, you ain't changing nothing yet. You're going to leave this alone. We're having a cash grab right now. So, and again, this is just my opinion, freaking, conspiracy theory bullshit. The moon is a fucking piece of titanium and all that shit. But he could be part of it. Who knows? And I'm not saying that he is. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying that he's capable. But I mean, anybody's capable when it comes to all this money.
He seemed easily manipulable.
He's young, like you said.
Yeah, he's
young. And not to say anything
I'm sure
ill about youth, but he's not a good businessman. I haven't seen good business acumen come out of him. I've seen brilliance. I'd never even be able to compare to his mathematical brain. But everybody has different skills and weaknesses. And I think one of his weaknesses is business. And who's behind him? Who's actually guiding him? Who's leading him in business? Who's moving this thing forward? Because it's not him. It's definitely not him. He's the brains behind the tech, and there are other people pulling the strings. And I'm sure that has something to do with what's going on with the mining. Because if all of these other chains can fork Ethereum and make things better, why couldn't they yet? What's holding it up?
Do you think that like trying to fix a plane while it's fucking moving, that's probably a big part of it?
That is part of it, but there's a mixture of a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? So those are things to take into consideration, but they can do updates. They can fork it and start changing things here and there, like little pieces, like how Solidity is built. Solidity is built so that you could program. They've taken the programming language, and this is just a vague term that Richard has coined with Bitcoin, which is spaghetti code, but meaning that the code is very difficult, hard to decipher, hard to pull apart, hard to add to, because it just code on top of code on top of code. Where Solidity is more like packetized data of pieces of things that you can plug in, like functions that have been audited and very carefully wrote in packages that can be That's the easiest way I can explain Solidity.
Like almost taking the code, instead of just having this giant mesh of code, it's like almost little segments or segmented portions. It sounds like you could pull things off the shelf of Solidity and say, okay, I want a send feature. And that send feature is very simple
and has been audited, and everybody knows
Used
what
a
it
billion
is, and it does
times.
what it does, and it works properly. Now, the problem with Solidity is when people plug these things together, whether they plug the things together properly. So it wasn't really Solidity or Ethereum that made mistakes early on, because there was a lot of bugs early on. But other crypto programmers were taking that Solidity code and jumbling it up and not putting it together properly, and they were having bugs and problems and whatnot. So when something's built correctly on Solidity, it works really well. And that's what he built. And he simplified the data and made the data accessible to devs to where they can keep things from being jumbled up like Bitcoin.
Hard to relate to a guy like that. Like, for, you know what
I
I
mean,
Like,
right? I mean, how does anybody even
I'm
relate
like,
to
what
him?
could our lives have been any different, me and Vitalik? So we could be the two opposite human beings in history. Like, he created Solidity, and like,
Well, he
imagine
didn't create it, but
no, you
yeah,
know what
he
I
was
mean?
part
Like,
of it.
it was Solidity the first crypto? Was Ethereum the first crypto used with Solidity? I know his team or whatever. Like, he had a bunch of people.
Probably the one that made.
I couldn't answer that. I couldn't answer that if there was
Either way,
other projects that
this
used it or
guy's a
not.
freaking computer. He's clearly not a social media marketing guru. You know, he wears normal ass clothes. He's about 110 pounds. Like, he's clearly in a different thought bubble than I am in the day to day. Right.
But in the defense of this new world of marketing, where everybody's looking at things differently and everybody's looking at the old way of marketing as bullshit, as they've been trying to manipulate us, and they see somebody like Vitalik, and what does he look like? He looks like an absolute genius is what he looks like, because he wears that stupid clothes and he walks around with the ridiculous bag and takes photos here and there.
And he's like a stick figure, right?
So when you see Ethereum and you see this guy, you go, he is so goofy, so nerdy, so wet behind the ears. He's got to be an absolute fucking genius.
Yeah, I do that.
And that's what we think. And that's what we think. And so we buy into what he's done and say, this guy can't make a mistake when it comes to the tech, right? He's too lacking in at 17 to be able to create this and all of the lack he has, because he's never focused on anything else in his life other than his brain power. So we buy into that, and that's marketing, you know, and he's done that well. So they keep putting him out in front of there. I just don't know what's behind pulling the strings, because I see all this weirdness going on. I see all of this things. When I look at it, I go, okay, well, follow the money. What's going on here? And, you know, and that's the truth. He brought it all together. He came up with the concept, and he had devs help him build it. So they get credit too.
What do you think, like, for you and your current understanding of 2.0 for Ethereum? What does that mean? And like, for me, it's just like, okay, it's proof of stake, but there's 1,000 other things that are probably changing that I'm just not aware of because I'm not that deep into 2.0. And you have more context, so I'm curious to know what 2.0 means to you. What do you see those changes from 1.0?
It's Ethereum getting into the chain wars, because I keep telling you that's what's coming, is the chain wars. The chain wars are coming, and we're going to be positioned in that war. And I don't know what the end of this war is going to look like, what the battle's going to look like. I think it's going to end with a few chains surviving and building the rest of, you know, Web3 and crypto and the world changing, you know, financial products that are going to come out through crypto. But the wars are coming first, and we're going to see that. We're going to see chain wars. And I think Pulse is positioned well in it. I think that we've got a strong footing, and that's what we need to start thinking about.
Because when there's a new, we've talked about experience, right? Because you have experience of just life that we don't have, right, necessarily. And when you look at any new tech of any sort, there's like 175,000 players, right? And then, you know, that's year one. There's those people are all in their garages thinking about this, starting to get started and starting to like make progress in the market. And then, you know, year two, it's 125,000, right? You just lost 50,000 players because they just ran into some roadblock and they just didn't know how to get past that. And we're at that point where we're still ramping up the number of chains involved before we get to what you're talking about, that consolidation standpoint. where we're still getting to the 175,000 different chains that are going to be out there. And obviously, this I'm just using a number here, but there's going to be a boatload of different chains before that consolidation happens, I think, right? Because there's going to be other players working. Like I seen the like speed at which new projects are launching, and like in the last 2-3 months, 15, 20 different projects launching all, and I'm watching one microcosm of crypto, and I'm watching this one space, and I see 20 projects launching in 3 months. This thing's happening in every single one of these communities I've had, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and it's just like if you, I always say this: there's nothing new under the sun, and everything works in cycles, and you just have to look at all of the way renaissances happen or new technology emerges. There's always a pattern, and you follow that pattern. And when the first .coms came out, it was the same stuff as, you know, all of the first cryptos that came out. It was meme coins. It was all this just bullshit. Just like .com had, you know, pets.com was just $1 million. You know, you could buy shares of it for hundreds of dollars, and I don't even, we might have even went up to $1,000 or some stupid, and it was a landing page for pets.com, you know, and just weird stuff happened back then, and people were buying into it though because they wanted the tech. And that's what's happened in crypto is people just wanted to get the tech, you know. And so I think that they prolonged this for some reason. The money grab, it was kind of slow, and then it started to ramp up, and then they got high on the hopium that what they had was the real deal, and they just kept the same old narratives: Bitcoin, XRP, ETH, and no new emerging technology coming from that, no new advancement coming from that. Whereas the .com boom, it blew up. People realized that there was no real tech here, that there was more necessary, and that the next advancement had to come. So they dumped it. And then as the new technology started to come, as Web 2 started to realize itself and build websites and get you interoperability with companies and whatnot, then people started investing in those companies. And it wasn't like they did the first time. They got into it smarter, and then it slowly rise. Now, that's what we're seeing in crypto. We're seeing Web3 coming. We're seeing everybody aping into this thing, playing with it. You know, and when at the 20K Christmas, you saw institutional money come in, play with it like a cat plays with a mouse that's all wet and chewed up, right? And then they left it to die. And then they came in again, and they've played with it some more with the DeFi and everything that's going on. And what did they do? They left again. So that $1 trillion left the market again, all institutional money. So guess what? They're getting ready for the third iteration. We're seeing the new technology starting to emerge. We're seeing all multi-chains happening. We're seeing banks and everything wanting to get involved, and governments wanting to get involved. They don't know how to do it yet, but it's all starting to happen. The next bull market, the next run is going to be Web3 emerging, and people really knows walking into the country.
Gunther's face.
Gunther.
I just saw that pop up on my timeline, and
Gunther's brilliant, man.
Gunther's coming on Thursday with some people just to have a chat, guys. It's going to be an explosive episode. I mean, this guy is just like, he's got TNT up his ass, and he's ready to go. And I love it. I don't know what the hell he's talking about half the time, but I fucking love it. And I know, but I like guys that he took a couple L's. He mentioned that he, you know, had to switch some things up. He did some things wrong. He said it all on stream. I was like, good on you, man. Like, you know, most people don't come on here and say nothing except they just answer my questions. And he was pretty transparent. And he kind of mentions the Pulsechain thing, and it's funny. I think it's funny. I've never had a meme coin before, other than this, because I got it for free, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm starting, like, I know I'm, you know, guys, but I like it. It was free. It was given to me. I'm understanding some of this, like, that, like, oh, you give me something for free and it's a little bit funny, and now I like it. And it's like,
here's a ridiculous story. So when I first got in crypto in 2014, didn't know anything about it, saw it start to move, and I said, oh shit. So I started reading, and then I read about this Dogecoin meme, right? So I bought a bunch of it and just threw it in the wall and left it there. and it stayed there from 2015 all the way up until present day. So, but here's the fucked up story. So I lost access to my Bittrex account. And like literally they were holding me hostage. I had to take the pictures with the freaking paper, like what date it was and who I was, like I was a hostage and shit. I should have wore an orange jumpsuit when I did it. But I sent that to him and said, you know, give me access to my shit. I got Bitcoin and all kinds of stuff in there. And it was time to ape into Hex. I wanted to ape it into Hex. So I pulled all that crypto out when I finally got access to it, and I dumped it for Hex. Now, it was a month before Doge mooned, like freaking mooned. And I was like, oh man. But I mean, I got my Hex, of course.
I want to hear that story of Bittrex. I got my first Bitcoin. I had no idea what I was doing. I helped somebody out with something, and they're like, "Oh, hey, can I just pay you in Bitcoin?"
Look at GRC's picture. It's freaking raw, dude. Damn, bro.
Back in 2013, and I put it on an exchange because the guy who gave it to me was like, "Hey, set up an account here, and then make sure you save this somewhere." No idea where I saved it, but then when I went back to check it 2 years later, they'd stolen money, and people at the exchange had stolen the Bitcoin. And it sounds like there was a similar experience that you went through with this Bittrex thing. What can you tell us that story?
So what happened is again, I had an account there and I was doing some trading and I had a bunch of coins on it. And I had a phone got dropped into a pit of oil, lost the phone. Right. And, never found it, got a new phone, and my 2FA got screwed up. So I was not able to get into my old 2FA. I created a new one accidentally trying to get it right. So I had no access. My passwords wouldn't work because the new 2FA wouldn't work. So I kept sending them letters and letters and letters. And they finally, you know, got back to me where, you know, and sometimes it would be my fault where I'd wait a few months to even talk to them or whatever. And I just wasn't caring about it at the time. And then by the time I got to it and we got the pictures taken and everything that they wanted, then they gave me access to my.
So they were asking, so you were like, "Hey, I can't get into my account. My shit's fucked up. What do I need to do?" They don't respond. Then you follow up, they don't respond. And then when they do respond, they're like, "Hey, can we take some photos of you to show that it's actually?"
Yeah, they wanted a date and a photo, and was it time? I don't know. There was they had me write a bunch of stuff on a piece of paper and take a picture holding it. You know, I had to have like a newspaper or something with the date on it, and then, you know, my information wrote on it, and send them the picture of the hostage photo or whatever I call it. And so finally I got them to respond to me, and then they opened up my account, and so I got in and moved all the crypto out of it. And because I had that Doge in there, I'm like, I got to get rid of this crap and put it in Hex, because everything was going to Hex. I didn't want no Bitcoin. I didn't want no Ethereum. I didn't want anything. I wanted it all in Hex. And that's what I did. I just dumped it all in Hex. And that was the first few months that we were rolling here in Hex. So it was a good move. But I did miss a couple X's on the Doge pump there for sure.
Are you, I have a question about.
But that's a story of my trading life. Every time I buy, it goes down. Every time I sell, it goes up. That's just, I don't know. Some people feel the same way, I guess, but it seems like I've never hit anything. Well, I've only hit one time really good, and that was of course with Hex, but with Verge. I did it. I got into Verge early accidentally. Somebody had me buy a bunch of Verge coin, you know, the porn coin or whatever it was back then. And then it pumped hard. I mean, it pumped really, really hard. And I got out at the top, but put it into other cryptos. So I put it into other cryptos and then rode 20K down to the freaking gutter.
Are you still acquiring
Hex? Yeah. I just bought some, and I'll tell everybody now. I just bought some at 13 cents. So I'm freaking like, I thought that was the bottom. I was like, okay, you know, I was dollar costing in, and I had a little more left, and I bought at 13 cents. So now I'm like, oh boy. Oh, Sloth says save some stuff for you. Bye, bro. I got plenty for you, man. I got plenty for you. The old man has got stories.
What do you think about that Celsius tweet that Richard had? Isn't that something? The hodl mode.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that yet?
No.
So basically,
I've been kind of staying away from Twitter because there's so much vitriol on there for me.
I know, but you got this is just classic.
Do you remember Robinhood? To give it context, do you remember Robinhood when the AMD thing was happening? And basically, it was like retail versus Wall Street, and Wall Street was getting fucked, right? They're just taking it, and the hedge fund behind that was also associated with the company that Robinhood sells their data to. So on the days when this was happening, Robinhood was like, hey, bitch, you're not allowed to do anything. So they stopped your ability to purchase. They stopped your ability to sell. So Celsius, from my understanding, is a lending protocol that calls itself DeFi, but it's definitely not. And
it's the last thing that would be considered DeFi. But so Richard rarely would tweet this directly to a owner.
Oh, I saw that.
It's pretty wild, though.
He was talking about
when Richard's calling Alex out this directly, you know that Richard's just like, this dude's effing up at this point. I can tell. Not your keys, not your coins. Sell is a bad joke. Mashinsky is a bad founder. Hex.com. Let's keep your keys. Let's keep your keys as you should. Keep your own keys as you should. This is HODL mode activated. Your team, your account was set to HODL mode by our team. HODL mode prevents all outgoing transfers. This includes sending coins, sending funds via CellPay, and changing whitelisted addresses. If you would like to deactivate HODL mode, give them a call. Give them a ringy dingy.
More hostage photos.
Dude, give them a ring. Hey, RG, just give them a ring, bro.
Let's call them up.
They'll take you right off.
How's that work out for you in crypto? There is no phone calls for crypto. Shit. You can get a hold of me easier than you can get a hold of anybody else out there on the phone. I mean, it's funny because Coinbase had done the same thing. And some people, I don't know if people know the history of what happened with Bitcoin Cash. The day that Bitcoin Cash came out, it started rolling and Coinbase shut the fuck down. Shut straight down and stopped all trading.
Was it pumping or dumping?
Oh, it was pumping.
Okay,
it was pumping. And they didn't let people dump. They stopped the dump. Like everybody got in and raised the price. Boom, they shut off for a while. There was investigations too because of that thing. They had investigation. I don't know what all the outcome was, which usually investigations in crypto end up going nowhere into some freaking abyss because these guys are usually smarter than the authorities that are monitoring them or attempting to monitor them because they can't do the research. They don't have the team. They don't have the expertise. They don't have the people to do the chain analysis to really check it.
And Hex has all those things for free, by the way. Like Hex provides a lot of those things to the public just within the community. If you ask someone to do something in the Hex community, someone's going to pop up and be an expert on it and do it.
And the problem with all of this is that we get a lot of, and I've been seeing it lately, is we get a lot of people that think they find something, right? They think they find some freaking magic bullet in the chain analysis, and they call a scam or they call a this or they call a that. And they really don't know what's going on behind the whole thing. How many wallets are involved? What's really going on? I saw a lot of that in the OA days when people were trying to in the AA days when people were trying to figure out what the OA was doing and where this money was going and coming from. And, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And you'd see 4 or 5 guys on Twitter like, oh, Richard Hart's doing this and Richard Hart's doing that. And this is what's going to happen. And none of that shit ever came to fruition. So all these brilliant chain analysis guys were mostly wrong. There's only been a few, and they've stuck around for a long time. For instance, Silver the Antidote,
he's penciled in, by the way. Him and Axis Live are penciled in.
Gunther, Axis, those guys right there, been around. Why? Because their chain analysis has been fucking good.
They're insane.
They're not just using this and saying things. They were like, hey, this is what's going on. You can decipher. Like, here's the information.
Yeah, that's what they do. See, they do the analysis, and then they leave it to you to like decipher it or whatever. It's like, this is where we see it going. This is where the trail ends. And then a lot of times, like I talk to these guys and go, yeah, it went here. And then guys, it dies. The trail dies right there. So at that point, it's just, speculation as to what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then that's what people do. They speculate. They throw that information out there. Richard did this. Richard did that. Richard did this. No. You didn't see because it died right here. So how can you prove anything or how can you say anything? And plus, Hex has done nothing but any of its wallets in the background have done nothing but been good actors for the project itself, for the prop. for the
Always. It's only proven to be the thing that is the best part of Hex. I say it all the time. People don't, I guess, want to hear it sometimes, but I'm like, I like the OA. I think it's been absolutely fabulous, and I'd hope that they would stick around doing what they've been doing. It's been rather helpful.
Well, when when you know history, when you know what finance does, when you see how the stock market moves and what makes it move in the right ways, and then you've got a thing over here that you can program. And then, okay, well, all I got to do to make this thing do what all of the best things in the world could have done is program it and react properly and make these accounts do the proper things. And it will just be good for everyone. Everyone who gets in and does the right things, keeps the tenants, get in, buy the dips, dollar cost in, dollar cost out, hold, stake, delayed gratification, don't trade. You know, if you stick with the tenants, then Hex's ecosystem and everything that Richard has created is going to do well for you. As soon as you step outside the box and think you know more, that's when you start getting wrecked. That's when you start losing.
Well, I always tell people Hex has way more positive externalities than any other crypto. So it's just like whatever other crypto charts you've showed me, it doesn't matter how volatile Hex is. In a way, because we all know right now, if somebody came in with $5 million, Axis did the math this morning.
Yeah.
Random person, a new person, $5 million goes to 19.8 cents on that one buy. And we're talking about adoption rates that people can't comprehend. You can't. It's not possible. Sam can't comprehend it. I can't comprehend it. We can look at the chart, but it's still, you can't comprehend 50% adoption rates in 5 years for the whole world. You can't. It doesn't work in your brain. It doesn't, because it's too much volume. So you have to trust. All we can do is trust the software. Well, I trust Richard, and I trust the OA, and I trust this community more than any other community. So I don't know where else to put my mental energy.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually ask about the liquidity and your thoughts on this, and ask everybody who's watching if they know of a resource that tracks the liquidity on, say, one like DEX, like Uniswap. Is there a place that aggregates this as a graph where you can look at the people pulling their liquidity out? Because that might be something super interesting to take a look at. And then
there are.
Please. Do you have any of those off the top of your head you can point me to?
How is DCA in and out different than trading? Well, because you've set limits. Dollar costing in when you're seeing the coin going down, when you're seeing it drop, when you're watching all the people out there that are doing the analysis on the charts, you can dollar cost in. Now it's never perfect. But as you see something going down, you'd say, okay, well, I'm going to set some limit orders and I'm going to buy some with my dry powder in these levels, and go down to a low level and put a little down there too, so that you can catch a dip. And then you should always have, if you are coming out of the system, if you are needing to spend money, let's face it, we all got to spend our money someday, right? We've all got to cash out some Hex someday. We see people doing it. It's happening. So you dollar cost yourself out. Also, always, you should be collecting, on pumps, okay, we'll talk about loans here in a second, but this is how people get in and out, and they get in and out without slippage. You play the volatility, and I've learned that.
Explain that, because there's going to be a lot of people who don't understand how to play the volatility with limit orders. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So the simple way of how a limit order works versus a market buy, because there's two ways to, there's more than two ways, but the two ways that you get in is you market buy, like I'm going to buy $10,000 worth of Hex. Boom, you hit the buy button. Wham. Not that 10,000 is going to push you in, but if you have a big buy, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, then what's going to happen is you're buying people's sell orders. So as you're buying into those sell orders, sometimes those sell orders are creeping up. So when you market buy, you're just buying everything on the book. So you're buying the coins as the price is going up, appreciating. And you think you're getting in at 3 cents, but if you're moving it up to 3.5, 3.2, 3.1, you're moving the price up as you're buying the orders that are there. So buying a limit order sets it at a certain price. So as that price moves into your price range, you start to purchase some of that some of those orders. And then if it drops or raises or whatever, buying or selling, you're going to stay at that limit that you set, and you're going to not get as much slippage, because slippage is that when the price starts to move up on you and you're buying into that. That's what slippage is.
So you
To
can
make it easy for the dummy. And there's a lot of technicals behind it where you can, look at analysis and see what the bid asks are, so that you can make your purchases based on how much is on the books and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different, technicals that can go to, but for the average buyer, the guy that's buying $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 worth or whatever, it makes sense. It doesn't necessarily, and those orders are free too. When you go to matcha.xyz, it doesn't cost you anything to make that move. So it just makes sense. And it also, if you are selling,
what does that mean? The last time I tried to use Matcha, I couldn't get my wallet to connect, so I just used Uniswap. So to trade on Uniswap is 0.3% of the trade, right? So on Matcha, if you're doing a limit order, you don't have that.
Yeah.
Cool. That's dope. Thank you. That's awesome information.
Yeah, that's why I like Matcha. I go there and set my limit orders, and I haven't had any problem.
I don't know why I couldn't get my thing to connect. I probably just needed to switch a browser or something. You were going to potentially mention a couple of resources that track the liquidity across, say, Hex. Hex is what I mean.
I couldn't. My resources are Axis, Gunther, and Silver. And I watch what they do and say, because I know their analysis is good, and I'll see the different. I'll watch those guys and see what they're saying about certain things, and then just kind of draw my own conclusions. Because again, I know that they're not being exact in the science, and that they've done the research though, and they know where it ends up going. And these guys know. So asking Gunther that question is going to be much better, or Axis.
Yeah, we have. So make sure you write all those questions down that you have for these guys, Sam, because they also they want these questions too. They like to have all these questions are right up their alley. So they're going to be happy to answer all your questions.
All I know is that I watch the smart dudes, and I do what the smart dudes do, and I'm doing really, really well. I can't complain.
Because I was like, wait a second. If you track liquidity, and you on Uniswap, you can track it going in and out with the address that's pulling in and out, and you see the largest bags that are like moving their liquidity in and out. And if you watch that and you see that there's a trend, it looks like whales are pulling their money out of X. Something's probably taking place that we're just not aware of, because there's an asymmetry of information, right? You know shit that I don't know, right? So if I'm able to see what you're doing, I have a saying around, like, for the fitness stuff that I do, because I talk about compounds and peptides and all this stuff, and I'm like, if you want to know what I'm doing, watch what I do, not the words that come in my mouth. Like, I'm posting everything I'm doing. Like, just watch the actions that I take. Don't just listen to the words I'm saying, because there might be some discrepancy there that I don't realize. So just watch the actions I take. And the same idea is like what I'm thinking with liquidity, watching what people with like different set of information are doing that also have a different size bag, and what they're doing is how I was thinking about it. So it'll be interesting information.
What up, Gerardo? Price update once a day. What are you talking about, Gerardo?
He's probably talking about like on the big coin aggregators that give you information. They'll update the price once a day or whatever, and then Uni every few minutes you're getting an update. But just to let you know that the Uni limit order, or one-sided pool, is really not. It is a limit order, but it isn't, because if you don't watch it and pull. When
there should be an automated thing where you can press, hey, as soon as it switches to one direction, this
take it, draw it. Yeah. And it doesn't, it'll, if it slips past you and your order fills, it'll go back the other way. And if you miss it, you missed it. You got to be sitting there watching it on V3. So yeah, it's kind of tough. It's good, but it's kind of tough to monitor it. You have to be
learning V3.
You have to be on it. And it's basically just a one-sided limit order instead of, a limit order is just, you're just selling one side of the pair is what it is, or buying one side of the pair. But unfortunately that stays in the system, so that if you buy and then it dumps, it sells. So
Sam, see about, go to lookinthehex.com, and then Gerardo has his,
there you go.
Price updates once a day, Uni pool update every few minutes.
Okay, so
And that's Gerardo's website. Gerardo, come on here tomorrow and learn me something, boy. Get your butt on here and learn me something.
He's freaking brilliant, dude. He's
Yeah,
a
but look at
brilliant
this
charter.
guy. RG3's on the West Coast. He's not sleeping in. Okay. I'm
old, dude. I don't sleep in, man. I'm up at the crack of dawn.
Wait. Sorry. No, it's not blocking it. I'm not looking at the YouTube, so it's not popping up. But I'm going to pop that up if Sam's got it right here. Sam would like to look through the website anyway. So let's see where we can find this.
It says liquidity here. So Gerardo, fucking awesome. This is dope.
Yeah, he made this site, and he's awesome. And for anyone who doesn't know Gerardo, he is the co-founder, I believe, of Mintra.io, the greenest NFT platform. Yeah, look at me. You gonna hire me? The greenest NFT platform in the cryptoverse, guys. Come on, are you kidding me? We're talking about staking your Mintra and earning Pulse, guys. Come on, Mintra team. You know you want me.
He's really trying to push it so that you would come on here, Gerardo. We've been waiting.
Hey, I just want to make him all happy. Mintra to the moon, Gerardo, get on here.
Something that you said and something that real DJ Evo said is I just want to shout out to all the veterans out there today. The reason we do get to sleep in today is because of them and because of those of my brothers that didn't get to come back home after we went out and did the stuff that we did. So, my heart's out to all of them and thank everybody for supporting, your vets and just remember today what it means and what some people have done for your freedom to shit talk me and everybody else, so just, think about that.
Next time you're going to complain about something and you're going to whine about someone doing something that has nothing to do with you, just remember that you're a little bitch compared to all the guys that went over there for, sometimes for the reasons they didn't know, sometimes because they wanted to fight for this country, but they went over there. I know that feeling because there are men in this world that will stand up for what they believe in. Some men do things just because they're bored. But I mean, when you really find someone who will stand up for what they believe in and fight for their country, it's truthfully a special person. I didn't grow up in any sort of military mindset. I was doing drugs and shit. I didn't know anything about that. But in hindsight now, some of those families, those family units that really put pride into that, military thing, it's a beautiful thing. Although, there's controversy within the politics, but standing up for your country is just like a basic human instinct.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's doing a service for the people and being selfless about it because all the men that I served with, stood on the line for everybody, whether they liked their politics or their faith or anything, they stood on that line for them to have that freedom, and that's sometimes people get this stuff mixed up with this patriotism crap and all that stuff. Like they say, all this stuff about the flag and everything. And it's like, I didn't do it for a symbol. I didn't do it for a race, a religion, or anything else. I did it for everybody who stands on this land here. And whether I like them or not, whether I like their views or not, has nothing to do with it. Selflessly, me and the guys that I served with stood on the wall, and whether it was going to be mortal to us or not, we did it. And we did it for freedom, not for anything else, for freedom. And that's how much it meant to all those men. And some of them gave all for it. And that's something to really reflect on. And when you do think about it for a minute, and you think about somebody who has been in the military, at whatever capacity they served. And you should be thankful for that and give them that kind of respect, And I do.
Some goosebumps. That was very nice and completely agree. There's so many people in the world right now who don't want to even stand up for the simplest thing that they believe in, let alone an ideology that stands for freedom. And the people who are willing to, die for that and spend years or decades supporting that and living in that ecosystem, 100% respect for that. Because that is something that I did not do. I worked for the military, but I didn't work in the military. And 100% respect for that. It's something that allows us to be here right now. And, it's nice Memorial Day to respect, and acknowledge what those people stand for, the prices that they paid, the price on their family, the price on their friendship, what they go through. And they really don't make that much money doing that kind of stuff.
No, No.
They're losing to inflation. Now
it's even worse. Yeah. It's horrible because some of the soldiers that are out there are literally on food stamps and things like that. And
that's what I mean.
It's tough.
It's also an effed up system in the sense that, like, I was a contractor that was equivalent. So they have different rankings, right? Like, depending on what branch you're in, and that branch is associated with a certain pay level, and then within that pay level, if I remember correctly, there's 10 or 11 different sections of pay at that level that you can be in. And as a contractor, you can go in and make a lot more money. And, and also, like, there's a lot of contractors who just fucking sit around and don't do anything. Like, I was getting paid to just sit around and not do anything. Like, I was like, let me have your job, let me have his job, and you can pay me half of what they do, and I will do all those, and it will still be done within less than 40 hours.
Yep.
I literally proposed this to my boss. I was like,
and the military that's what the military is. It's this, even in like the grunt. I was a grunt, a Marine grunt, and like a lot of our time was sitting around doing nothing, cleaning weapons, reading, doing that kind of crap. But then when it was deploy time, when it was time to move, it was horrendous. The 24/7 grind out in the field for weeks at a time, and then it was boom and bust. It was like a lot of sitting around and then a lot of work getting done at one time, a lot of sitting around and a lot of work getting done at one time. So it was, it's almost the same as like probably like the contractors do. It's like when something had to get done, boy, everybody was on it and working hard and, all that kind of. But then a lot of times they're just sitting around watching soap operas. And I mean, literally, I remember us watching a little TV in our squad bay, watching soap operas in the afternoon at, certain, 2-3 month periods where it was just like, time to go PT, time to go eat lunch. And then we're in between watching soap operas and shit. And then boom, we were out in the field for a month and it was just hell, but I just remember that was like, that's kind of like how the government operates. And, but my hat's off to my heart's out, especially to the families that are around that have lost people and to those guys that gave all. And some of them were my friends, and I appreciate them on this day, and I always remember them.
I think that's a great place to end, guys. Sam, get your questions ready for these guys coming up.
These guys are gonna answer your questions thoroughly,
and I need you to come up with most of them, Sam. So because I'm just gonna try to facilitate the most entertaining show I can. But I really need to dive into these guys for what they're good at, right? Because that's what they like to talk about. And they don't come on stream that often. And they let me know that, they're like, I don't come on stream that often. So if you could have questions and stuff. And I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problems with that. Guys, we're here every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be covering Pulsechain every single day. I'm going to do my part in spreading the word about this. And it's much easier on the computer than it is in person.
Thanks.
So guys, I hope everyone has a great day. Make sure you do something. If you know any vets, if you know anybody, send them a text message. Do something. I don't know what people do, but do something good today. Just remember, there's a lot to be grateful for, guys. All this fighting is stupid. And Hoorah is right, guys. Everyone have a great day. We're going to play this banger for 2 minutes and 2 seconds. RG, thanks so much for hopping on and clearing some stuff.
Respect for your service, too. I appreciate it.
Yes, dude. Seriously, you've been through a lot. Wow. Crazy. I can't even imagine your life. Like, you've lived the whole thing, and you're here now, and you're still getting shit. You're still getting shit. That just goes to show, man. Never stop getting shit. No, I'm just kidding. But you're crushing it, man. We appreciate everything you're doing. I think we're going to make this thing work because the community is so great, and we already know about the software, guys. Guys, it's Crypto in the Morning. We'll see you soon. Everyone have a great day.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Rich heart. Rich heart.
Bought my hex from the fucking start. .1 everything we mark. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. By my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pulsechain's out, now get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this Pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this Pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. By my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. By my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at